here are 3 straight reasons why Florian Wirtz is the present and the future of Liverpool Football Club, and I would argue in another video the future of the style of the Premier League. Reason number 1 is that Florian Wirtz is a player that makes players around him better. Now, this is very common with top-class players, with world-class players. Players around them automatically become better because they have more access to passing lanes and they know that they can lend him the ball and the ball will be safe with him. Now, here are 4 players that become instantly better when you drop Florian Wirtz in that midfield number 10 position. Mohamed Salah becomes a better player even though he doesn't take advantage of the chances that Florian Wirtz puts on a plate for him. Now, even at the beginning of the season when Florian Wirtz was accused of 007, 00 whatever number it got to, Florian Wirtz was still one of the most creative players in the Premier League. He created some of the highest chances and he was always in the top 5 chance creators. Unfortunately for him, he was creating these chances for an out-of-form Mohamed Salah, who was literally not scoring any of the chances created to him, and that deprived Florian Wirtz of the assists that he could have gotten had this player and Cody Gakpo also been in form. He also was deprived of passes that could have come to him. There were multiple opportunities where Mohamed Salah could have literally slid the ball through for a Florian Wirtz tap in, but didn't do so. And you can now, in hindsight, understand that Mohamed Salah was being selfish in trying to recover the form that he had in the last season in Liverpool. So Mohamed Salah becomes a better player when Florian Wirtz is in there, or potentially he could become a better player with Florian Wirtz around him because of the sheer number of chances that are going to be fed to him in any game. In games without Florian Wirtz, we've seen that Mohamed Salah is starved of the ball, is starved of chances, and often becomes extremely anonymous when Florian Wirtz is not around. And there are 2 different cases for Mohamed Salah. In games without Florian Wirtz, he's completely anonymous until he scores. But with games with Florian Wirtz, he may still be out of form, but he's getting the chances, and the frustration is just that he's not putting away those chances. The other player and most important player that becomes better when Florian Wirtz is around is Hugo Ekitike. This is because without Florian Wirtz, Hugo Ekitike is often isolated at the top and has to drop deep quite often, and when he does drop deep, nobody is covering that position. But the understanding that he has with Florian Wirtz is such that when he drops deep to get the ball, Florian Wirtz is covering that false 9 position, and when he's in that false 9 position, he knows that he has Florian Wirtz to play 1-2s with. He knows that if he gives the ball to Florian Wirtz, he can dribble through difficult situations and create that opportunity for him. So Hugo Ekitike, we see more of his brilliance when Florian Wirtz is playing because he's not isolated up top. The opportunity is created for him, and we get to see the best of Hugo Ekitike, if I can say, in games where Florian Wirtz is playing with him, because the likes of Mohamed Salah, the likes of Cody Gakpo hardly create chances. In fact, I can't remember at the top of my head any chances where Hugo Ekitike scored from an opportunity created by either Salah or Gakpo. In the games where Florian Wirtz is not playing, we've seen midfielders continue to create chances for him. We've seen Gravenberch give him assists, and we've seen him give assists to McAllister. It's not the other forwards. They don't know how to play with him, and that creates problems. And another player that becomes better, or another set of players that become better when they play with Florian Wirtz, is the midfielders of McAllister and Gravenberch. And they become better because they do not often have the ability to drive with the ball as much as Florian Wirtz does. So when Florian Wirtz is playing with them, their job becomes simpler. They just need to receive the ball from the centre backs and drop it into Florian Wirtz, play 1-2s with him if he requires, but they know that the responsibility for chance creation is often on Florian Wirtz, and that makes for better discipline in their roles, knowing that McAllister is going to be fighting in that midfield to recover the ball and keep the ball, and Gravenberch is going going to be fighting in that midfield, but also helping the defense, and they can simply focus on that. And we see more positional discipline when they're playing with Florian Wirtz. We also see more passing lanes in midfield when these two players are playing with Florian Wirtz. So that's 4 players that instantly become better when they're playing with Florian Wirtz. The second reason is one that we've partly covered already in the first one, and that's chance creation. Liverpool in open play scenarios simply create more chances, at least to the eye when you use the eye test. When Florian Wirtz is there, there's higher chance creation, there's higher shots than we see when Florian Wirtz is not there. Also, the overall beauty of play, the quality of football that we are playing when Florian Wirtz is there is quite tantalizing, as opposed to the games that we've seen past 3 games when he's not there. Even though in some of the games we ended up winning, but the chance creation and the amount of boredom that we see, the lack of ideas, lack of initiative that we see from the players is quite troubling when Florian Wirtz is not playing with them. So this is a player who creates a lot of chances, and the team overall becomes better when they're playing with him. Now, we need to make sure that he's playing with the likes of wingers like Rion Gomoa. That's a partnership that we need to see more of, instead of him playing with the likes of Cody Gakpo, who's not really interested in playing 1-2s and really doesn't play to the strengths of any of the players. But we'll discuss Cody Gakpo in another video. But Florian Wirtz is a player that creates chances. We just need to see him create these chances for players that are in form, that are taking these chances and scoring these goals. And Ekitike has been a prime example for taking advantage of this chance creation from Florian Wirtz. And the last reason, and perhaps more important for some of us who really enjoyed the formidable pressing that we saw under Jurgen Klopp and that we saw in parts of the previous season, is the pressing. When you see Liverpool play the last 3 games in particular, there's no real coordinated pressing from the forwards. Mohamed Salah just isn't pressing as much as he used to. In fact, even in the past, he wasn't really responsible for a lot of the pressing. But in games where Florian Wirtz is there, he actually partners with Hugo Ekitike in creating that first layer of pressure to the defenders from the forwards, and we see much better recoveries of the ball in the final third, and we can easily get into opportunities where we can create chances, we can take shots on and off target. So the pressing is a bit better when Florian Wirtz is there, because what I've seen in games where he's absent is that literally Hugo Ekitike is the only one trying to run at defenders and hurry defenders and press. Now, when that press is not coordinated and the other players are not pressing with you, you are better off even abandoning that press and not even doing it at all, because it's just going to leave the team open and not have any benefit to the team at all. So these are 3 reasons why Florian Wirtz is the present and the future of this Liverpool club. Tell me what you think and let's debate it in the comment section. A recap of the reasons: he makes other players better around him. Secondly, he creates chances that simply other players are not creating in open play. And thirdly, he helps Hugo Ekitike in the pressing front, and I would like to see him play in games where Rion Gomoa is also playing as well. Don't forget to subscribe.